Welcome to 2022 Scorpio Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is Lori Lothian, your astrologer at lunaticastrology.com. And we're going to talk a lot about this an amazing brand new you that's being born into the world in 2022. And it is an exciting time for you, if not a challenging one. I will say that. No kind of shed your skin, just define yourself brand new is without its challenges. However, you also have some really sweet stuff happening in the house of baby making and romance and creativity and manifestation. So we have kind of an interesting year. We're going to go into all the details of the year ahead. First of all, I would love for you to make sure you check my description box below so you can find out what I'm doing. And in this case, check out my professional astrologer program next year. Check out my newsletter to sign up for free readings, 30% discount codes off with readings with me, and anything else that I have happening down below. Now, that said, you're watching this on YouTube because this is about a 15 to 20 minute teaser for what is a 60 to 75 minute detailed dive into how your 22 will unfold based on your Scorpio rising sign, but also on your moon or sun. So if you want to grab the all signs bundle below, or just your sign after you've listened to this, you can get the all signs, 60-minute videos plus times 12, or just your own sign for hardly anything. And you can get the rest of this information so that I can support myself to create content on this channel. I kind of need to charge for something some of the time. All right, so let's get rolling. First of all, I'm trying to adjust this so that my mic doesn't keep going in and out. So give me a minute here, and let's move you guys a little further away because you're reading my face. There we are. Yeah, you're not so close. All right. So let's start off by talking about the idea of the eclipses for you guys. Now, first of all, every 20 years or so, 19, 20 years, eclipses go through a certain part of the sky. And they're all dictated by the movement of the north and south node of the moon, which is a place that eclipses happen. And back in 2003 and 4, go back and think about your life then, Scorpios, because that was the last time the south node was going through your Scorpio sign, and the north node through the sign the opposite of you, Taurus. So this eclipse cycle is something you've lived through before, unless you're very, very young and listening to this. And so you might go back and see what kind of changes in your identity, what kind of changes in you becoming more who you really are happened. And there's also a feeling when you look at this that you could also experience a really strong pull to a new relationship with that 7th house transit, or a movement of your current relationship to a new level of power. So you're living together now, you're getting engaged, you're getting married, you're dating, you're gonna commit, that kind of thing. Before we go ahead and go more into the eclipses and also that incredible juicy Jupiter in your 5th house of baby making, let me pull a card from the animal spirit deck because everybody's getting one. And I almost forgot you guys. This is going to be one of 2 card pull draws. If you buy the rest of the series, you'll get a card later on at the end of the reading from the animals and the ancestors and angels deck as a sort of a theme of 22 for you. But for now, we're just doing this one, which is the animal spirit totem guides, which is your animal supporting your journey energetically through 2022. So let me grab your card. Now I am fanning the cards on my lap, just so you know, and hang on. I did forgot to put my jewelry on for you guys. How could I not do that? Oh, you Scorpio people, I forgot to bracelet up. Yeah, I just finished watching Breaking Bad. I binged on it for a whole week. Oh my God, I don't know. I'm telling you guys because you're Scorpio, right? You totally get that show. I'm the last person who saw it. Everybody in the world saw it before I did. All right. So that is such a Scorpionic series. There's no doubt about it. The dark side of it. A chemistry teacher becomes a crystal meth cook and does it all for La Familia es todo. It's all, the family is all or everything. And of course, that is when at the end of the show comes up, spoiler, he realizes everything he did was really for himself. Okay, so I would call him a covert narcissist after having watched the show, the main character, Walt. Alrighty, so let's grab a card for you Scorpios and see what we get as your animal of the year. Oh, you guys you can't make this shite up. The golden egg. Now you have to remember that there are I don't know how many cards in here, a lot of cards. And most of them are animals. Some of them, though, are unicorns, fantastical things, or something like this, the golden egg. I told you you are birthing a brand new you. Well, this says the same thing. It's a freaking egg. You know? So I'm going to read what she calls the golden egg, but is definitely along the lines of hatching something brand new. It also ties into Jupiter traveling through your fifth house this year, which we'll get to in detail, which can bring babies if you want to make a baby with you or your partner. Yeah. Or create a business project, write a book, write a new song, be super inspired. You guys are having one of the best times ever for money luck as well. Ka-ching, ka-ching. But underneath all of the circumstances that we're talking about, you're going through this big transformation of your identity, really. But it can also impact a lot of layers of your being, including your health, which I'm going to get to. So I'm sorry, I'm just grabbing this. Don't forget, this book is not my book, so I don't know the answer per se. I know the golden egg is a deep one, though. There's a cosmic egg. Where's the golden egg? You think I'd have that cued, but I don't. Unicorn. Give me a minute. There it is. No, the black egg. She's got a lot of eggs. Okay, the golden egg. Gotcha. Message is at the heart, message at the center of the heart, the unstruck sound. So this one is really long, guys, because this has to do with the heart chakra. I'm going to read it to you the best I can in highlights rather than the whole thing. But it's a deep sound that is struck within the depths of our being. And we can only hear that unstruck sound apparently when we go into our silence, into our quietness. It's a magical essence of the golden egg. It requires warmth of quietness to unfold. You can't push, you can't grasp. It requires becoming intimate with your very essence, comfortable with vulnerability. Your chest may feel like it's swelling when you're in touch with the golden egg. And listen to the messages your heart has for you deep within that silence. So, I mean, the gist is it's going into a deep, intimate connection with your own being through the heart center and hearing the unstruck sound that goes with that and hearing the deeper messages of your soul. Now, I can't agree with that card more in terms of having a south node transit through the house of your identity and your body, the first house. And so, especially for the rising Scorpios, this can also be a time of health challenges, but not to kill you, you know. If your health is under the weather in 2022, it's because you're not listening to the inner guidance of your soul. And if you get stuck in some kind of doing kind of, you know, thing without any joy or play, that's not going to stick. Especially with Jupiter going into the joy house in 22. Jupiter wants to expand your joy, expand your fun, expand your pleasure, expand your joy of life, your enthusiasm, your inspiration. And goodness gracious, that's not going to happen if you're in a drudgery place. So part of leaving behind all the stuckness of your life is about that south node, which is the ending, the releasing, the surrendering, and the letting go of aspects of who you thought you were that are no longer accurate, true, and useful to you anymore. Now, with that north node transit simultaneously throughout 22 going through your seventh house, if you're a single Scorpio, you're very likely to meet somebody, especially when Jupiter is in your fifth house. And Jupiter will be going through your fifth house between December 29th and May 11th. And then again, at the end of the year, October 28th to December 20th. And those two windows of time are fertility, pregnancy, creativity, the muse, joy, fun, play, pleasure, money, luck, and romantic expansion and love. If you're already in a relationship, then the existing one will become more fun and you'll have more play and pleasure and really good sex, really good sex. Really, Jupiter in the fifth house is like, oh yeah, let's have fun. So, you're going to feel all of these areas of your love life expanding as well as your creativity because of Jupiter's help. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the fact that that identity is really shifting, and the North Node transit in Taurus in your house of marriage, significant others, and business partners, well, that can really ramp up that new relationship status to the next level. So a lot of you Scorpios will meet you people and get really deeply involved, and some of you who are already in a relationship will commit more strongly to your partner, and as I said, up level to the next thing, like getting married or getting engaged or moving in together, etc. And I also want to say that, with the Jupiter juice in your fifth house, this is once every 12 years. I mean, you're only going to get this kind of glorious yumminess. And if you're an artist, a creative type, like a musician, an actor, a painter, a writer, Jupiter in your fifth house will take that muse and she will be on steroids, and you'll be getting all kinds of great creative inspiration. So milk that time, because you don't get it that often. You want to take it and you want to run with it. And as I said, it's also great for pregnancy and fertility. And if you've been struggling with that, you or your partner, this is definitely a breakthrough in that area. So yay. Also, lastly, with that Jupiter piece, and with the North Node in the seventh, that could be money luck. Now, there's another reason I'm going to go into later. I'm going to go into that a bit. I'm going to talk about the Mars transit and how important Mars is for you in 2022. I'll touch on it now. Mars will spend a lot of time in 22 in your eighth house of inheritance. And with that fifth house Jupiter combined with North Node in the seventh, sometimes that whole 5, 7, 8 activity can look like the legal contracts you need to sign and the documents and paperwork, Taurus, seventh house stuff, with the money luck ka-ching of Jupiter in the fifth, with Mars in your seventh. And if you're going to have an inheritance of some kind, it's most likely, what I'm seeing, to at least in terms of the legal negotiations, be playing out later in the year, the last 2 months of 22. But and maybe if there is an inheritance coming, it may not be evident until the Gemini Mars transit, which begins in, oh my gosh, when does Mars move into Gemini? My brain went offline. Well, I'm going to go look, because if I'm telling you now, I may as well tell you accurately. Sorry. Let me get all of my crazy ass transit charts ready for you guys. Mars will spend 6 months in Gemini. This trails into 22 for you guys. And of course, Mars is your ruling planet as a Scorpio rising sun and moon. All right, there we go. Sorry if all the paper rattling, guys. Yes, Mars will be in Gemini starting on Holy Man, August 20th, and add till the end of March 23. So that's 6-month transit. So we're going to go into more detail about that because of the retrograde part of it and all of that in the longer version of this. Now, again, for the short teaser here, I'm also going to tell you one more thing. Mars is your guy. He is your key planet. You've got to pay attention to what that dude is doing in the sky. And every 2 years, he will rise in the sky. It's called his zodiacal rising, in a new place in the sky. And every 24 years, he usually roughly every 24 years will rise in the same sign. Well, he's rising or has risen in your sign, Scorpio, on around November 22nd, 2021, which means that he's starting a whole new story for you Scorpios, especially you Scorpio ascendants, but also sun and moon, where he rises in the sign of Scorpio. And therefore, first of all, he's a brand new, freshly hatched baby Mars, full of vim and vigor. Of course, compared to how he will be in the summer of 23 into the fall of 23, which is a beleaguered old Mars getting ready to die in the heart of the sun and start over again. So this heliacal rising in your sign of Scorpio is an incredibly potent, auspicious omen. It means you are rising, you are being rebirthed, you are coming up fresh and new. It's insanely good for you as well. If you need any surgery at all during 2022 with Mars being freshly hatched and rising in your sign, elective or not, doesn't matter. You could count on Mars's support for successful surgeries. Now, he rises, but he also has to die before he rises. Think of it like death and resurrection. So he died in Libra, okay? So he means he died in October of 21 in your 12th house. This can be a death of your addictions, a death of your habits and of self-undoing, the way you let your life get away from yourself, the way you self-sabotage and self-undo. It can be a death of outworn patterns. It can be the death of anything that holds you back from really moving forward, because the place of his dying will show you places you have to also lose or die or end things over the next 2 years. Now, the 12th house also has to do with your spiritual attainment, your moksha, your liberation, your enlightenment. And, the fact that he died there, die before you die is the old edict. If you're a spiritually inclined type, wanting to spiritually awake in this lifetime, I think Mars dying there could be a good thing, giving you a new layer, new level, new possibility for spiritual awakening. So not bad, Scorpio. Or if you've been trying to have spiritual awakenings, Mars died in your 12th, you might just say, forget that stuff. I'm done with the whole enlightenment story. Enough of that already. And that's about it about that Scorpio rising. But you have to understand, it's a perfect storm, Scorpios. It's the South Node transits as the eclipses go through your first house, starting November of 2021 to May of 2023. That's a lot of south node eclipse action in your first house of identity. I'm going to pick one eclipse right now in this teaser portion to share with you that I think is probably one of the, the more intense eclipses. But you have to remember, if I'm not looking at your natal chart or you don't have your natal chart in front of you, go to astro.com, AstroSeek, pull it up, put your birth date in, find out the degree of your rising sign, sun or moon Scorpio, because I'm going to talk about one of the eclipses. And in that context, you need to know the degree of your rising sign, sun or moon, to see how much this might impact you or not. So I'm going to go with, hang on, I got itchy eyes because I got leaf mold allergies in Vancouver, Canada. And I know I shouldn't scratch. So actually, scratching your eyes is the worst thing you can do when you have allergies. Okay, so let's go with this total lunar eclipse of May the 16th, 2022. Because it's got totality, it's very powerful. And I think it could have a lot of weight in your chart. And the other lunar eclipse that we had, both of them, one in November and one of 21 and one in May of 2023, they're not total. And so I love the totality. It's very powerful because of its totality. Now, this total lunar eclipse of May the 16th is happening at 25 degrees of Scorpio, meaning if your rising sign is anywhere close to that, particularly 22 degrees to 28 degrees of Scorpio, or your sun or moon is in those degrees, you're really going to feel this one. It's going to have more oomph, more pack a punch for you. And a total lunar eclipse is like eclipsing something, completing, finishing something in your life to do with your identity, right? Because it's in your first house. And also, to do maybe in some ways with your relationship as well. If you've been in an unsatisfactory relationship, because it's opposing the Taurian house, it could end a relationship as well. That's your seventh house of committed love stories. Someone significant can't leave your life with a lunar eclipse like that. Now, it's in your first house, so you have more agency, and totality is like, it's going to be a total end. But also, my experience of lunar eclipses is they give you more choice. It's like, I like the idea that it's a sort of eerie red light as the moon is eclipsing, and it sheds a new kind of light on something so you can see things differently. So it's not so much that the universe forces your hand, but you have new clarity. And that lunar eclipse in May unfolds for about a month before and 6 months after, in which this huge process of clarity and transformation of identity, and maybe ends of relationships that don't serve you in your seventh house, business partners or love partners, could be unfolding for you. So I hope that teaser has got your whistle wetted to go ahead and get a lot more detail about what Saturn and Jupiter and what Mars retrograde holds for you, as well as which moons are most important for you next year. And of course, the outer planets too in 2022. Grab your sign below and it's all yours. You'll have a link to my unlisted video on YouTube where you can watch the in-depth report for yourself. It is not expensive, guys. Grab it and you won't be unhappy with that. These are 60 to 75-minute videos, of which you just got a short version of it. All right, let's go ahead and thank you, YouTubers, for listening. And I'm going to go ahead now and continue on for all of the other people who are purchasing the year